Code Red for Humanity. Tonight we begin with the wake-up call from the United Nations on what they call the unequivocal impact humans are having on our planet. Their once-in-a-decade climate report is out today, and with it comes a warning about what could happen if humans do not aggressively change. It's the world's most expansive report yet into climate change, and there's no sugarcoating it. The UN report says at this point we are not able to stop global warming for at least 30 years. Essentially, a hotter future is already locked in, a future where extreme weather events like devastating fires, historic flooding, and extreme heat are all more common. The report's authors are essentially sending the world's leaders a final wake-up call: curb emissions and dramatically reduce consumption, or face a world that is fundamentally different. Around the world, fire crews are battling fires tonight on a nearly unprecedented scale. If seeing is believing, many are getting a first-hand look at a worst-case scenario for the future. But the report concludes there is still time to change. Our Maggie Rulli reports from Greece.
Code Red for Humanity, a dire warning tonight from the United Nations about our planet's future. Scenes more reminiscent of horror movies now playing out right before our eyes.
Very problem. My island is on fire.
This is Greece in 2021. Turkey, California, China, Germany. A brand new once-in-a-decade report from the UN is incredibly clear. We are altering our planet. The report detailing how climate change is making extreme weather worse in every region of the globe. Hotter heat waves, heavier rain, more extreme droughts, raging infernos.
You can hear the crackle of these flames. The fires are just ripping through the underbrush here. Look at that. We see it climbing. That tree is going all the way up the hillside. We have seen dozens of these hotspots popping up along the road. This is what firefighters are struggling to keep up with.
Here in Greece, the fire is turning the sky a bloodshot, ominous red, forcing residents out of the Greek island of Evia, making conditions all the more difficult for the crews desperately trying to help them to safety.
My heart cries. I leave my family behind.
The Greek wildfires have been raging for more than a week. Neighboring Turkey finally got most of their fires under control after nearly 2 weeks, killing at least 8. And it's all across our globe. Extreme weather of seemingly biblical proportions. Now a painful new normal.
Firefighters had been working in this area just a few days ago, but they've already moved on to other areas now. You can see obviously the fire is starting again here.
There are at least 93 active wildfires burning in Siberia, over 2.8 million acres destroyed, some villages in the region evacuated. In America's West, record heat, drought, and strong winds feeding blazes like the Dixie Fire up in Northern California, now the largest singular fire in the state's history.
It's a leveled ghost town out here. The surrounding areas still threatened. The air difficult to breathe because of the multiple hazards. Officials say could be weeks before families are allowed to return.
The 8 largest fires in California have all occurred in the past 4 years. Unprecedented 116-degree heat in the Pacific Northwest and all-time record highs in Canada, causing hundreds of deaths earlier this summer. And if it's not record heat and fires, it's flooding. Yet again, Venice's iconic St. Mark's Square covered in water far earlier in the year than normal. These horrifying scenes from China, commuters trapped in chest-deep water in train cars, streets transformed into rivers after record rainfall in the center of the country.
How high was the water up to here?
That's here.
I was in Germany just 3 weeks ago, the site of devastating floods after a once-in-1,000-year rainstorm killed at least 160 people.
There's so many people dead.
Hey, what's going on with y'all, man? It's Black Balloon, and I'm coming back with another video, so y'all already know what's going on. Hope y'all having a good weekend, because I'm having a pretty good weekend myself. Alright, so look, we're gonna tackle some recent events, some recent news, and you know, just all the craziness that's been going on in the world lately. You know, I saw that clip that I just played for y'all, and immediately, you know, I knew I had to do a video on this. Immediately, you know, as soon as I saw it, you know, and I saw how they presented the clip, and I saw how they chose to, you know, use the color coding throughout the clip, and I knew it, you know, I had to just get this to y'all immediately because it goes right in line with what I've basically been discussing on this channel. And it also goes right back to the video that I just did about Kanye and his mom, mostly about Kanye, the part where he was doing the rituals in the stadium, and the color coding that they used for those rituals. You know, he used red, white, and black, mostly red and black when he was dressed in all red, and then he was dressed in all black for the second event that he had. And we broke down what those two colors mostly meant to the occult. You know, red being the color of sacrifice, the color of fire, the color of vengeance, the color of aggressive magic, the color of the color of spells, the color of I said fire. Did I say? Of course I said fire. We know it's the color of fire. It represents fire, basically. And the color black also representing the void, negativity, Satan, Saturn worship. We went over those things in that last video. So when I saw how they did the color coding, remember I told y'all we got to pay attention to color coding on everything that we watch that's on TV. Now, we talked about how the news, they like to do this a lot, you know, a lot. They always color code events, or they color code the video so it matches with, you know, with what is actually going on in the world. That's why throughout the video I was showing y'all code red at places where they used the color red, like when the lady had on the red mask. Think about it. You know, why would she wear a red mask in the footage, you know, when the entire theme of the video is code red? You know, a report from the UN basically about how, you know, global warming is gonna basically kill us all. So, you know, it goes to show you I'm not just making this stuff up. And they actually, these Freemasons, this is how they color code events to basically, you know, tell you what is going on, you know. And then for the rest of the footage, you saw the people that were on camera, they had on black. So when the footage first started, it was the lady that opened up. She opened up the clip and she had on all red. And then it went to the lady that was, the lady that had on the red mask. And then you also saw the way they placed certain footage was to capture people in the background that either had on red or black. That's done on purpose. You also saw where the cars were riding by, and they chose to capture cars that were red riding by. This is all done on purpose. This is not coincidence. They could have chose any piece of footage that had cars riding by that were a different color than red. You see what I'm saying? When they were in the park filming, you know, for this broadcast, they could have chose anybody in the background, but they chose two women that had on black dresses. They chose a woman that was standing next to a man in an all red dress. So it goes to show you that this stuff is real. They color code these kind of things as spells and rituals to kind of show you who's behind some of this stuff, you know, because you know me, if y'all know me and y'all truly listen to my videos, I know for a fact most of this stuff, God is behind it. How the lady said, you know, the weather was compared to basically biblical proportions, meaning that, you know, this is like end time kind of weather. Like the world is going mad, you know, everything is heating up. The sun is getting hotter and hotter and hotter. you know, the entire earth, everything is changing. Everywhere, people, you know, places that never experience floods are flooding. Places that never experience heat the way that they're experiencing heat, you know, are having just crazy droughts. So the entire world is completely like upending. You know, as they say, the parasites are being like rid off this earth. That's why everything is getting hotter. That's why the sun is getting so hot. It's becoming so humid. It's basically, this is God. It's nothing else. It's not humans, as they say in the video. You see how they tried to force it and say that global warming is being caused just by humans? Is because they don't want you to believe in the spirit. They don't want you to believe the spiritual side of things. They'll actually mention, she actually mentioned that it was biblical proportions. And it's funny how they showed a flood when she said that. But they'll actually mention it. But then when it comes to like these scientists and all these people that are trying to like prove global warming, they don't actually bring up God at all. They just say it's humans, it's us. All the stuff we're releasing into the air, you know, the industrial industry and all of this good stuff, blah, blah, blah. We're the ones that are changing Earth's temperature by a few degrees. Well, not a few degrees, I guess 1 to 2 degrees, because the Earth is basically just like a human body. You know, once the human body, you know, once our temperature goes up a degree or 2, we become sick. It's the same with the Earth. If the Earth natural degrees goes up 1 or 2 degrees, we're fucking dead. Excuse my language. Now, obviously, I don't mean like, you know, boom, you know, Earth's temperature increases by 2 degrees and then 2 weeks later we're all dead. No, you know, over time. I mean, this is something that would happen over time. You know, let's say the ecosystem would fail, would basically collapse. Like rivers and certain like mountain glaciers would be gone. Basically, they would dry up. They would melt. The glaciers would melt. The rivers would basically dry up. Plants would eventually stop growing. Then we're talking about years and years of time that this would take, you know, north, like 60 years north of that, really longer than that. As far as if the Earth's temperature was to raise 2 degrees, these kind of things would happen. Basically, you know, a lot more of people would die because of the increase in heat and people just not being able to withstand the heat. Damn near like 1/3 of the entire population, I'm sure, would die in 100 years from now because of just 2 degrees raise in Earth's temperature. You know, so basically all like, you know, walks of life would start to collapse. Basically, that's what it means. That's what temperature increase means to the Earth. You know, everything starts to collapse over time. You know, and this stuff will definitely take a long time to happen, but it's already started. That's the thing. And it could be worse than we actually know. And here's another thing. You know, they don't want us to actually believe, you know, that God is behind what's now changing the world. You know, they don't want us to believe in the spirit side of things, in the spiritual world. They don't want us to believe that, you know, this is like prophecy, you know, that the world is going to experience this. The world is going to cleanse itself. It's going to, you know, it's going to purge out, you know, all the parasites that's on planet Earth. You know what I'm saying? They don't want us to believe that. That's why, you know, they use the whole global warming thing and humans, it's us. You know, if you watch and kind of listen for it while you're watching that clip and the one that I'm about to show after I get done right here, you know, you can feel it. You can just feel them like forcing, you know, they're forcing it on you. The fact that it's you know, it's humans. It's not anything else that's causing the Earth, you know, the Earth's temperature to rise. it's you. It's nothing spiritual. It's nothing supernatural. It's all just you, you know? So you see how we talked about that in the Gregorian calendar video, how they want us to have that one just physical, you know, view of things. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's not something that we can put a label on, if it's not something that we can physically see developing, then it's not worth believing in. So that goes for how they think of God. You know, you can't see God. You can't talk to him, you know, just, you know, like, hey, God, you know, and he says, hey, you know, Brian, or whatever your name is, back. You know what I'm saying? So they're like, no, we can't believe in that. That can't be the reason. It has to be something we can put a name on. It has to be something we can see and blame. We can blame us, that we're the problem. Like, no, this isn't God, you know. That's what they want you to believe. They don't want you to think that way, because truthfully, most of this stuff is God. Now, I'm not dismissing the fact that a lot of this, these random earthquakes and a lot of this stuff is done by the HAARP weather machine that manipulates weather and controls weather anywhere on this planet. And then also it could be done by, you know, them basically having underground bombs. All kind of shit can be done to set off earthquakes, and just different kind of weather events, you know. So I can't sit here and act like they don't have the power and technology to control the weather. That's definitely the case, you know. Even here in America, I obviously believe a lot of the weather and hurricanes that hit certain places were controlled by HAARP. You know, I think Katrina being one of the biggest ones, where, you know, I think it was an article saying that Katrina was actually headed down the East Coast, and then it ended up, you know, hitting directly in Louisiana. And that's just one of many examples, honestly, because I could probably say the same for the one that hit Houston a couple years ago. I forget what the name of that one was, but I'm pretty sure that one was, caused by HAARP as well. And I know a lot of y'all already on game about the HAARP weather machine. And, you know, if, you know, you've been living under a rock or just somewhere spaced out for your entire life and you've never heard of the HAARP weather machine, you know, as soon as you get done with this video, feel free to look it up, because there's a lot more information on it. And yeah, you know, you'll be able to get in tune with what's really going on in the world. So, you know, I definitely had to mention that, because, you know, we can't be deceived to think that, you know, they're not causing some of this stuff. You know, some of it, you know, they definitely are. So don't get me wrong about that. But, you know me, I'm a full believer in God. So I know very well his hand is, you know, his hand is mostly at play here. So, you know, we will continue to see things happen the way that they are, and it will increase. You know, it'll continue. You know, it'll definitely get much, much worse before it gets better. And I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm saying it to prepare you. So y'all already know what's going on, man. It's Black Balloon. I'm going to show y'all this last clip, and I'm going to see y'all soon. I'm out.
Scientists all point to one thing: climate change.
It is indisputable that human activities are causing climate change and making extreme weather events more frequent and severe. Second, it shows that climate change is affecting every region on our planet.
The UN's report confirming in the strongest language ever that the world is warming at a rate unprecedented in the last 2,000 years. And the report says we, humans, are to blame. Our actions have us at the breaking point, even if we meet the goals of the Paris Climate Agreement to limit warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius.
The number 1.5 degrees Celsius, there was this, ideally from the Paris Agreement, we would try to keep warming below that level. That looks like a pretty big challenge at this point.
Some impacts of climate change are now irreversible. Our behavior has altered our oceans, changed our planet's glaciers, In Greenland, the amount of ice that melted in the space of 1 day in July could cover the entire state of Florida in 2 inches of water. And no matter what we do, the ice melt is going to continue and get worse.
Changes in ice sheets, deep ocean temperature, and acidification will continue for centuries to thousands of years, meaning that they are irreversible in our lifetime and will continue for generations to come.
The report concluding sea level rise may be one of the single biggest problems for the rest of the 21st century.
Even if you suddenly stop the increase in warming, you're going to still see melting for decades to come.
What's different about this report? Well, just how confident scientists are about the conclusions.
So this report was produced by over 200 scientists from 65 countries. They worked for 3 years together to assess huge amounts of scientific information, over 14,000 studies and research papers.
Data from the past 8 years has the scientific community more confident than ever before that humans are the cause of what's happening to our planet. But it doesn't have to be this way. While more warming is expected in the coming decades, it's not too late to change trends if humanity changes behaviors now.
We can't undo the mistakes of the past. This generation can make the systemic changes that will stop the planet warming, help everyone adapt to the new conditions, and create a world of peace, prosperity, and equity. Climate change is here now, but we are also here now. And if we don't act, who will?